Hey guys, Twigs here. So we're going to be checking out our boy Stioorg again. This man makes really good content. He really lends himself into having a discussion about whatever topic it is that he's wanting to cover. And it looks like in this case we're talking about the worst side of Star Rail, which this already immediately caught my attention because, alright, what do you got to say about Star Rail? What do you got to say about one of my favorite games? So, with that being said, definitely hit that like and subscribe button. Hitting that like button helps get the video out there. Hitting that subscribe button helps us grow a community over here. Helps us grow the channel. And I'm going to leave a link in the description below to Stioorg's video. Definitely check out his video. Hit that like button for him. Hit that subscribe button for him. He's been putting out a lot of good content, and I cannot say enough good things about the videos that he makes.
Yo, I made a video before about how Honkai Star Rail became the standard of gacha games. And some retards were saying, why don't you criticize Honkai like you criticize Genshin? Why is this video not talking about the negatives? Yes, they want negatives in a video talking about the standard of making games. How genius. But this...
Okay, for those people who just do not understand, the reason Star Rail is as good as it is right now is because of that constructive criticism. Roughly ever since the beginning of the game, we criticized the erudition path characters because they just weren't good in end-game content. Memory of Chaos lends itself into destruction path characters. Most of the chunk damage is going right to the boss, and then usually the AoE damage is enough to take out the minor enemies. Erudition characters distribute equal damage across all waves, which is shitty for bosses. And then the opposite hurts hunt characters. Hunt characters are single target. They do really well against boss enemies, but they are terrible at taking out waves of enemies in a certain amount of time. And that was a criticism ever since pretty much day one of Star Rail. What happened? That criticism lent itself into pure fiction. Pure fiction is great for erudition characters, and that fixed the erudition problem. Now, the criticism, and there's two criticisms that are going to be fixed here soon. Simulated universe it just takes too long, and it's too much of a pain in the ass to farm the ornaments, the two pieces. That's being fixed. They're gonna make it seamless. They're gonna add a game mode that makes it super seamless to do simulated universe, which there's a criticism being fixed. And then supposedly the new in-game content being added to Star Rail is going to lend itself toward hunt path characters, fixing the hunt path problem. So what is my point here? My point here is that the reason Star Rail is talked so good about is because the criticism that we do throw Star Rail's way, they take it and they work on improving the game. That's why Star Rail gets so much positive reception.
This is also free content, so let's talk about what's bad and what can we improve in Honkai Star Rail. So it took me some time to think about the problems in this game, and you know, I always talk about seeing the other perspective, so I had some fun time trying to see what's annoying in this game. Some things are kinda simple and some things actually need to change. Some other things are not gonna change, of course. The one problem I found is that you cannot cancel your ultimate in so many circumstances.
Okay, this is kind of true. I didn't think of this, and it is true. There are some times where I accidentally click, like for example, this is a big one. There are times where I accidentally hit Kafka's ult before Black Swan's ult, and I'm wondering who he's about to say that since he's got Kafka and Black Swan right here. And I'm like, fuck, I meant to hit Black Swan before Kafka.
I wish that I could cancel my ultimate, and of course this might make the skill ceiling for the game a little bit less, but I do not see this as a skill issue because some mobs have some RNG, sometimes you do more damage than you expect, so I think this is the most important flaw in the gameplay. Now if I go to the story, I think most of the story was good, but we all know that so many people liked Penacony, but I think it could be better by making them talk a little bit less, you know? Even
I disagree. I absolutely disagree. I actually thought a lot of the exposition really lent itself into the storytelling. And this is my biggest thing. You can have a game or a story. Let's just speak general. You can have a story, tell a lot of exposition. You just got to be able to sustain the tension in the story. For example, and this is a big example, Interstellar. Interstellar was a long-ass movie by Christopher Nolan. Great storyteller. But it was a long movie with a lot of exposition. But a lot of stuff was happening at the same time. But it sustained the tension and the emotion and the drama just about all the way through. That's why Interstellar is considered a really good movie. And that's what Pinnacone's story did. It sustained the tension throughout the majority of the story. I'll give you, and I'll stay within the realm of Hoyoverse, a good example of not sustaining tension and not keeping a good pace was actually the Fontaine story of Genshin Impact. Now, for the most part, Fontaine's story was good. The climax and the ending of that story was fantastic. But let's zero in on 2.2, the conclusion. That story, that part, is a tale of two different worlds. And I'll explain what I mean. The first half of 2.2 story for Fontaine was very badly paced. That story that they were trying to tell leading up to the trial of Furina is terrible. Why? Because they didn't show you what happened to Poisson. Therefore, you didn't feel the emotional connection to what happened to Poisson. It was very terrible. I wish I saw it, because if I saw it, I would have felt more of an emotional connection to Navia and her two attendants, her two right-hand men. Then, when we got to the second half of Furina's trial, it was literally show and tell. They made sure to capitalize on the drama of the moment, which lent itself to really good storytelling. Pinnacone did a lot of show and tell. It wasn't just exposition dumping. It was a lot of tell and show.
And if this storytelling was better than most of what Genshin was doing, it's still a Yap Fest. And you cannot convince me that they cannot make it a little bit better, or at least if there is so much yapping, then you can make so much more cinematics.
And I felt like they did do a lot of cinematics. And here's the other thing on why I would disagree with a little bit with Stioorg here. If you want a Yap Fest, literally go play Genshin Story. My proof, Paimon. Paimon doubles the amount of dialogue that happens in Genshin Impact due to the fact that she regurgitates all the information. So on this notion, on this point in particular, Stioorg, I disagree with you completely.
Because watching a character just talking without any expressions, without any movement, just standing there for like 3 minutes and reading might be boring for some people, and I think everyone agrees that adding more cinematics will be better or making them talk less. Another flaw that cannot be fixed kind of is that the Lofu story had so much problems.
And I agree with you here. I will absolutely agree with you here, Stioorg. Xiansho Lofu's story, it is an example of bad pacing. In the middle, you literally just deviate from a big dramatic moment where the general is basically declaring war against the disciples of Sanctus Medicus. And then immediately after that part of the story, you deviate into doing pretty much a side quest for a blind woman who turned out to be a disciple of Sanctus Medicus. But it just drove the tension and the drama and the pacing to a halt.
Especially in the storytelling, and most people affected by this are day one players. We were waiting every single update to just get 1 hour of story or 2 hours, unlike what we had in Pinnacones. Besides that, it was also a little confusing. And
what you're bringing up, Stioorg, actually lends itself to my point. Pinnacone's story, I believe, learned from the Jianshou Lofu story about how to tell a story with good pacing in between updates, and made sure it kept your attention through action and holding the tension of the moment within the dialogue.
They were kinda throwing so many characters, and of course it has some positives, but as I said, I'm not gonna talk about positives in this video. If you wanna see positives, go watch the standard video. Now, since this is a gacha game, I think being a gacha game is a flaw. If you disagree with that, let me tell you this. What if they just reduce the pity at 50 now? Without changing anything, we don't see more power creep, the game stays as generous as it is, I think everyone will be happy. And if you can get every single character for free, without the need to spend, will be even better. So this is one of the flaws that will never change.
No, because it's a free-to-play game, they had to put some type of monetization system into it. Therefore, they went the route, obviously, of a gacha game. The gacha system is like a love-hate thing because you understand why it exists, but you also hate that it exists at the same time.
Game can be very generous, but the gacha system is always a flaw in any game, in my opinion. The only good thing about gacha is the adrenaline that you get when you win a 50-50 or get your character, but if you look at it in another way, it's called addiction. Now, there are some actual very important flaws that I discovered, but before that, let me talk about something very simple. Why do we not have a jump button yet? I mean, it just feels so weird. And I shit you not, some people actually quit the game because they couldn't jump. I remember people talking about how they quit the game before because it doesn't have jumping when it started, or they had a bad impression at the start because you can jump. Now, another problem is the
indifference. I don't care. Yeah, they designed it to where you don't jump in, plus there's no reason to jump. You just want to jump because you feel like you want to jump.
events. Some events are good, but some other events, like the last editing events that we got in this update, it was insanely bad. I still didn't finish it. I do not want to do it.
And this goes to a criticism of Hoyoverse games in general. The Mario Party minigames that have nothing to do with core gameplay. But it's part of the reason why, in my opinion, Genshin Impact has fallen off. Part of the reason. It's not the complete reason. But the whole Mario Party minigames, like, it's gotten so bad in Genshin that it borderline ruins the events for me. Because I don't want to play them. They have nothing to do with the core gameplay. Now, that's why I'm happy to see that they don't occur very often in Honkai Star Rail. But the fact that they do occur annoys me a little.
It's so bad, it's so boring. I agree that most of the events are kinda good, but holy, they have some events that are just bad. Now let's...
Yeah, and that's the Mario Party minigames. And I second your opinion. It's nice that they don't happen very often in Star Rail, but it's still annoying that they do exist when they do happen.
Go back to the gameplay and metas and things like that. First, I think that the end game is sometimes about getting the character more than having a new strategy. You can look at it in a way that it makes some characters more viable, but it also makes you want to spend more and need more characters. When you do not have a Himeko or a Built Herita or an Argenti for like the pure fiction, you will feel that. Which makes me want to talk about power creep. Yes, I said in the last video that they're kinda handling power creep in a good way, but it's still power creep. Some characters like Zila are power crept, and I still don't see how they can make her work again. Maybe the...
So, yes, that's the issue with the paths in general. If you don't have very many erudition characters, you will have at least one with Herta. But if you don't have any more, like Himiko or Jing Yuan, especially Himiko, pure fiction is going to be a struggle for you. Now, Memory of Chaos won't be as much, especially if you got some destruction characters. But yes, due to the way the path system works, you will occasionally feel like you're just going to need a character to solve a problem in this game mode. Especially if you don't have follow-up attack characters whenever Pure Fiction really wants you to lean into follow-up attacks. So that is a bit of an issue. And then on the power creep thing, power creep is a thing in any game. Literally any game, you will deal with power creep. Why does power creep exist? Put it simply, the new thing won't be interesting if it doesn't add anything enticing for people to want to chase it. I'll use Acheron as an example. Acheron is a stupidly powerful character, and anyone would have been insane not to pull for her, because she just annihilates everything in her path. She is like a nihility and a destruction character, and borderline an erudition character rolled into one. Power creep.
They're hiding something for her, but for now, characters are getting power crept, and even though they're fixing it, it's not enough. Which makes me want to talk about paths. I think that some paths are kinda losing their identity. Sometimes you feel that it's good, but in the same time, you cannot expect anything from the paths. Now, what is the nihility? Is it about debuffs? Is it about main DPS? Is it about dots? If you look at it in some other ways, it might not be a very bad thing, but at the start of the game, it was a little more simple. So people can understand, and if they see a new character, they know. Maybe the only consistent one was the harmony, and the most versatile one is probably the destruction. But as I said, they still didn't lose the identity, but they're going through this path, so we will see in the future. Oh, there's some.
So I kind of see that, but I basically, in my mind, group it all together. If I see a nihility character, I know there's going to be some type of debuff. And yes, it's going to lend itself to either straight up stat debuffs or afflicting a type of DOT debuff. Because keep in mind, dot damage is a debuff. And that's actually kind of what I like about Star Rail, is that they add unique gameplay without kind of like just placing themselves at the core of their identity. For example, Japard is a preservation unit through and through. Literally all the motherfucker does is generate shields with his ult, and then he just spams his skill until he gets his ult. Whereas other characters like Adventurine, he may be a shield bot, but he's still able to afflict a debuff with his ult to benefit the team, and he does follow-up attacks, which do still generate shields, but if you building the right way, he can also be able to do decent damage, not fantastic damage, but decent damage at itself. So that's what I like, is that they still work within the identity of their path, but branch out enough to keep their playstyle fresh.
Something that I want them to add in the game, especially with the Golden Gears and Swarm Disaster. I hope that they add more meaning to this mode. For example, if we can farm something very rare there, it will give people that wanna play the game for more hours, more content to do. It can just be a hat for the character, it can be anything rare, something symbolic, and I think the Simulated Universe or Golden Gears, everything like that would be the best place to do that. It's not an MMO, it's not made for this, but I don't think an addition like this will be bad. If people are not interested, they won't do it. Just something, as I said, symbolic will be cool. I don't know, maybe unlocking a secret boss that gives you an emote to dance that you can use in every character. It will be something funny, cool in the game.
And I can agree to that. I think that it is kind of strange that Star Rail still hasn't dived into doing like different skins for characters. I even find it weird that Genshin still does it just kind of every once in a while. Why have we not dived more into adding skins to characters? If you look at Honkai Impact 3rd, they add skins all the time, and some of them are pretty interesting to look at, if you know what I'm saying. But the biggest thing that I still ask myself is, where the hell is that skin for March 7th? We got to see that skin during her story, and we never saw it again. And she only wore it for one fucking scene. You got the skin in the game. Allow us to unlock it and use it. I would love to have March 7th running around in that cute little skin that she had.
Game. Because since I talked earlier about endgame, I think that the endgame is very separated. You always play the game for the same amount of time, even if they add more endgame, the rotation won't change. So adding something like that might add more replay value to the game. Another problem would be we still don't have relic loadouts, or at least good relic loadouts.
I don't know. This is something we've been bitching also about with Genshin Impact, and they added loadouts, and it's not loadouts. It's a bunch of bullshit.
I won't talk a lot about this, but it's obvious that it's a good thing, and it saves so much time. And talking about saving time, the simulated universe farming is annoying. But I have to say that the devs said that they're gonna fix it in the next patch, but I had to throw it there. So for the people that are saying, no, it wasn't a problem, then why are the devs changing it? But we will see how good it will be. So I just wanted to put it there as the last thing. And this is actually everything that I found, or the problems that I found in the game for what it is. And to be honest, I think it's one of the best gacha games, and I still think that it's the standard of gacha games. Anyway, that was the video. Bye bye.
Alright, for the most part, I agree with a lot of the stuff he talked about. The biggest thing definitely is like adding customization, like skins and stuff to the characters. I agree with that. Paths. I agree that some paths are falling behind, but I feel like Star Rail is going to definitely fix that, especially with Hunt currently being an issue. Power creep 100% is an issue, but I also understand it's just an inevitability. Power creep is going to happen. I won't say overall, but for the most part, I agree with Stioorg's points. Like for 100%, I didn't think of the cancel ultimate thing, but that is true. I would like to be able to cancel my ult if I accidentally misclicked, or if I just didn't notice that I had a character's other ult up and I wanted to do it first. I don't really agree with him about storytelling, at least when it comes to Pinacone. I agree with him on Xianshou Luofu. I actually really do agree with him with the Xianshou Luofu. Events, again, I agree with him that Star Rail is not as bad with the minigame Mario Party events, but it just sucks that they occur anyways. But it's not as bad. It's nowhere near as bad as Genshin. And I kind of disagree with him on, like, paths losing their identity. I don't think that's paths losing their identity. I think that is just characters expanding more on what they can do within their path. And I think that's fine, as long as they stick to the identity of their path in some way. But overall, a really good video. Stioorg usually does 100% nail his videos, and I enjoy them a lot. But with that being said, head down in the comments and let me know what you guys think about Stioorg's video. Do you agree on these being actual issues within Star Rail? And do you also agree that this is a good conversation to have, because it lends itself into constructive criticism for the Star Rail team to be able to work on these thoughts that we have. But overall, I think he is right. Star Rail is probably one of the best gacha games and is probably the standard right now for gacha games. And it's overall, I mean, just a really good game. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit that like and subscribe button. Hitting that like button helps get the video out there. Hitting that subscribe button helps us grow a community over here, helps us grow the channel. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys later.